Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Triangle Offense. I'm Munish. As always, I'm joined by Nishant. This is part two of the resurgence of the teams in the Eastern Conference. Uh, Yesterday's episode, we spoke about the Boston Celtics and how they've been having an upside, but they had their problems throughout the season. Another team that's kind of having an upside, I wanted to say before they lost to the Phoenix Suns, is the Miami Heat, the other Eastern Conference finalist from last year. Now, it's kind of difficult to say what the Heat are up to. I mean, they win some big games, then they lose some small games, and then again they lose some big games. So I don't know what's happening with the Heat. It's really kind of difficult to analyze them. Are they a good team? Are they a team that's only good for the playoffs? Are they not a regular season team at all? Do they even have a good squad? Is it all Jimmy Butler and Adebayo and the rest of them are just there? What do you think? What do you think make of the Heat situation right now? They're sitting in sixth spot, kind of avoiding the planes right now. But with the form they're in, I really don't know if they can go up or down.
Yeah, no, I would still expect them to go up. Um, Reason being, you can see it take shape. I think this was kind of the story of their season last season also that they
Mm-hmm.
were neither here nor there. They finished fifth and then suddenly boom, they exploded in um, the playoffs. If you remember, a lot of people, including me, were saying last season, even when the playoffs began, it's not that this was said in retrospect, that they're a nightmare matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Everyone recognized this about the Heat, and that's true even today. If they're fit, they're a nightmare matchup. Um, Unfortunately, though, this season, unlike last season, for different reasons, they've been unpredictable. Last season, it was because they had a bunch of rookie players that were still figuring it out, and they still do have a lot of young players that are still figuring it out. But injuries have taken a bigger toll
Mm-hmm.
this season. Butler himself was out for a while. Dragic has now moved to the bench, then back into the lineup, then moved to the bench. Iguodala's a year older, blah blah blah, and then of course the growing pains of their younger starlets. But what I like the common trend or the thread that connects all of their recent good performances, and
Mm-hmm.
even in the games they lost, the things that went well for them were Jimmy Butler is the heart and soul of this team.
Yep.
And he balls out, they ball out. Bam is capable of putting up big numbers, but he can't eke out results the way Butler can yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that experience is something Butler brings to the table, which nobody else in that team does at his
Right.
level. But here's the other part. They brought in Iguodala last year in the playoffs as this experienced chip winning guy, former finals MVP, great defender, still a pretty useful 3-point shooter. So like this uppercut 3 and D guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and he played his role, and I thought he was pretty good last season. But he's been excellent this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that he's still got so much to give, especially on the defensive end. They can live with him not lighting it up at the other end of the court. But
Mm-hmm.
defensively, they rely heavily on him. Very often, he still guards the opposition's best player on the perimeter, and he can go inside and defend them there too. That's their key in the playoffs. They're going to be a nightmare because Bam's protecting the rim. Jimmy and Iguodala are on the perimeter. None is another nightmare of a menace.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is why this team's such an annoying team to face in the playoffs. And then when they go at the other end, Dragic can pull up from deep, Butler can take you inside and out. Hero will pull up from anywhere. Duncan Robinson will shoot from anywhere. They've got Bam in the paint, and Iguodala and a few other three and D threats. And somewhere in this process, they flipped Olenek for Bielitsa. I don't know if that's a step up. I think that's largely inconsequential. Uh, and then they let out Myers Leonard, and they added yet another experienced piece who's great on defense in Trevor Ariza. Chip
Right.
Winner in the past, I remember him from those Lakers teams. The first Lakers chip that Kobe won without Shaq. Ariza was on that squad. Uh, Years of experience. Great to have come off the bench, kind of be a second unit defensive hustler. So I like what I see from a playoff perspective. I don't know what they'll do for the rest of the regular season, but I'm confident that they'll do enough to avoid the playing games, get their ass to the playoffs. I'm afraid the deck will be stacked against them because of where they'll enter the playoffs, as in what
Mm-hmm.
seed. But
Mm-hmm.
how is that different from last year? So
Right.
I think they've got at least one surprise up their sleeve, but I don't see them making it to the finals.
When you look at their defensive ranking, right, they're third in the league.
Yep.
Yet, some team like Toronto Raptors, who are way down in the rankings, have a better net rating than them. Is it? Does that mean that the Heat are having more blowouts than they should be having, and their offense has not been scoring 115 points as often as they should, and that's kind of hurting them, isn't it? They can
Yeah.
restrict offenses, they can put them below 105, 106, but their offense has not been living up to that name that they, or that standard that they should be living up to as a big team in the East.
Yeah, the shooters have got to step up. But is it's to be expected. The number of rotations that they have been forced to make because of injuries and unavailability of players, plus Robinson going off to the bench in the
Mhm.
at the start of the season. Their offense took a beating. I still don't think they figured it out entirely. But once fully available, when they have all of their players back, it's only a matter of time that they figure out their rotations, because most of this team is a run it back version of last year's team. Whether they play
Right.
at the same level or not, what they can do and what combinations work is still largely the same. Um, so I wouldn't be too worried. I think Miami this season are a repeat of last season. They're going to
Mhm.
finish at some mid-level, mid-league position. They're going to enter the playoffs as a mid-level team. The only difference is the top half of the Eastern Conference is a whole lot stronger this season than it was, especially in the playoffs last season. Because
Right.
Brooklyn came in, they didn't come in the top half, but I'm saying Brooklyn came in and they were significantly weakened in the playoffs. Uh,
Right.
Philadelphia was just about done. Like by the time they came to their season ended by the time they entered the bubble.
Right.
Philadelphia, right? And the Bucks are the Bucks, crash and burn. The
The Pacers were
Raptors,
there.
yeah, Raptors are great, but we always knew Celtics and the Heat were both better than the Raptors.
True.
So what has changed essentially is not much from a Miami Heat perspective. What has changed is the rest of the Eastern Conference has gotten a lot tougher, especially at the top.
You mentioned the addition of Trevor Ariza and the importance of Iguodala in the squad, and I'll tell you why it's important. Against a plus 500 team, they're just 9-18, which means they've not been winning the games
Yeah,
against the teams that they would probably meet in the playoffs. In overtime, they've had 4 games in overtime. They're 0-4 in overtime.
yeah,
That kind of shows their inexperience, because you have a bunch of these second year guys in the team, right? Tyler
correct,
Hero,
correct.
Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, even,
Yeah,
and Adebayo is no
Bam's young
not
too. Yeah.
Bam's young too, exactly. So it's all about Jimmy Butler whenever
Hmm.
this group plays, and that's why Iguodala and Ariza brings that immense
That's huge.
intangible
Yeah,
wealth to the team, which cannot be shown by numbers, cannot be shown by
true.
their stats or their box scores, but it's a great addition, I think. And I think they went ahead and spent on Oladipo this offseason
Yeah,
and during the trade deadline. Unfortunately, Oladipo got injured and probably will miss the rest of the
yeah.
season. Uh, Not so great news for Oladipo. I think Miami Heat kind of survived this.
What did I tell you about Oladipo? Do
Exactly.
not. Why?
It's really unfortunate, but I think Miami Heat just got away with this one. I mean, they'll live with it
Right.
for the rest of the season, but I don't think they're going to sign Oladipo given his injury troubles and his history with injuries.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's why I didn't talk about Oladipo much, because even before the move was made, I was very clear. I don't get this move. Like it's a nice to have, but it's not really solving any problem. It's just bolstering what they already have. And I don't see a world where Oladipo and Butler play in the same lineup, unless it comes at the expense of Hero or Robinson, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Though I'd be okay with it coming at the expense of Nunn, because
Mhm.
Oladipo can defend his socks off, but he can't do what Nunn does, carrying the ball, bringing it up the floor. I feel like Nunn's better at orchestrating than Oladipo is. Anyway, doesn't matter. It was a high risk move. I said it'll be a high risk move. They made it anyway. I talk as if I'm in Pat Riley's ear, but I kind of said I have a bad feeling about this. Looks like I was right.
Given where they stand in the playoffs, as things stand today, they would face the Bucks in the first round of playoffs. That's a nightmare matchup for the Bucks. I mean, I would hate to be Milwaukee right now and face Miami Heat in the first round of playoffs, especially given that you have the squad to stop Giannis. You did it last year, not too long ago. Do you think they're better than the Bucks have really improved from last time and can overcome the Heat this time?
I
Because
think they
Drew
can.
Holiday is the addition that
Yeah.
they probably didn't have last year. The additions apart from Giannis, right? It was Bledsoe and Middleton. Bledsoe was not good enough. Middleton was still okay last season against the Heat, even in the playoffs, but it was not good enough. But do you think the addition of Drew Holiday would kind of elevate the Bucks above the Heat?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he'll take down the Bucks this time around. Several reasons for that, but very easy to explain. One, I believe Middleton's finally there. There are a lot of players who always take a certain number of years and a certain number of failures in the playoffs before they finally uh, mentally get themselves ready to show up. And we saw signs of that last season. Remember when Giannis went out and Middleton just carried that team to a win?
Yep.
Like a 30, 35 or 37 piece performance. That was outstanding. Middleton can do it. I think he will do it. Miami's got a great defense, so it'd be a good challenge. But Drew Holiday's a handful on both ends of the court. I'd just put Drew on Jimmy. I'd put Drew Holiday on Jimmy Butler and say, let's duke it out. Both ends of the court, let that matchup kind of nullify each other. I would absolutely trust Giannis to take on Bam this time. There's only so many times you can stop a player like Giannis before he figures you out. I don't think they can put. So Miami didn't quite put a brick wall on Giannis. They kind of cut off his lanes, but they didn't overload the paint like Toronto did with with Gasol and all the bigs that they have, Ibaka and all that. So then if it comes down to Bam versus Giannis, as much as I love Bam, I'm taking Giannis now. It's a bit like Shaq, right? It was a different era, I get it. But a lot of teams had pretty much the same thing against Shaq. Just overload the paint, get the ball out of Shaq's hands. That's all you've got to do. Then came Kobe, and that's why that team three-peated. But with the Bucks, I think if it comes down to Giannis taking on Bam in the paint, I know to beat a lot of teams, the Bucks are going to need Giannis to develop a jumper at some point. But to beat the Heat, if the Giannis machine adds just a bit more in terms of low post moves and just scoring in the paint, when he gets the ball with his back to the basket and not just when he picks up a head of steam, if Giannis can even do that, he's a problem, and the Heat are not taking the Bucks down. So I don't think the Heat can take down the Bucks this time around.
All right, so that is the Heat if they finish sixth. But if they drop into the play-in spots, would you be concerned that they would have two bad days and just get knocked out?
Nah, the teams that are likely to be in the play-ins in the East, a lot of them are quite inexperienced, and a lot of them don't have the kind of defense, just stifling defense that Miami does. If Miami's offense is like it was in the past few games, just kind of all over the place, they got held to 86th in there. So, if that offense shows up, okay, God bless them. But otherwise, if it's playoff Miami, there's no way any of those playing teams can handle the Heat.
Yeah, it's probably the toughest team to meet in the playoffs. It's a nightmare matchup for anyone who would meet them. But that was a good episode to end the week, I would say. I'll catch you on Monday. This was the Miami Heat, part 2 of our teams in the East that are resurging.
Sounds good, man. Cheers.
Bye.